You are listening to Mind Over Me, the mental wellness podcast with me, Scott Carter. I am a licensed therapist and someone who is very mindful and aware of the decline in our collective mental health. I created this podcast so that we could have more direct and honest conversations about difficult topics and difficult issues. It's my goal to have honest but direct conversations that we need to have that are necessary. It's also my goal to give my listeners the information that they need in order to find their own mental health and mental wellness. This is where you will find the information that you need to be your own healer. And of course, all of this is based on years of clinical experience and expertise. Thank you for being here. Let's dive right in. All right, welcome back. This is the next installment of Mind Over Me. Thank you again for listening. I missed last week. I never made a promise that I would publish every week. I think I originally promised that I would do my best to publish every other week. So here we are. Welcome back. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your help, any help you might offer in helping me grow my audience. And yet, it's good enough. I just appreciate you being here. I just appreciate you listening. And as I'm recording this episode, the world feels like it is on fire. It's in total chaos, which to me just means that it's important to get hyper focused on what it is that you actually can control. As a therapist, I do a lot of work. I'm sure I've mentioned this in other episodes. I do a lot of work with young people, teenagers, young adults, and, they think the world is coming to an end, right, with foreign conflicts and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, listen, when you're as old as I am and you've seen as many world conflicts as I have, I'm not even fazed by it. It's just, they come and they go, right? I just try to redirect people back to focusing on what they can control. One of the things that I enjoy studying, I've been reading The Daily Stoic, not as consistently as I would like. The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. But Stoicism talks a lot at length about focusing on what you control, what you can control. Stoicism is a philosophy that really was like built on how to exist, find serenity, find peace, find health, find wellness in a world that's chaotic. So, naturally when I see, young people, teenagers in therapy sessions, when they're distressed about things happening overseas, foreign conflicts, and I usually ask them one question: what can you do about it? And of course, they quickly identify that there's absolutely nothing they can do about it, so why spend your mental energy on it? If you want good mental health, it's a huge challenge. You have to do something radically different. You have to radically accept that you just have to do something different from everybody else. It is just so damn easy to get caught up in the chaos, y'all. So easy to get caught up in the chaos. And as a result, you're just going to lose sight of the things that are actually important, which is you, yourself, your mental health, being a better person, your own wellness, etc., etc., etc. The topic of this episode is going to be how to stop hating yourself. So I started when I was thinking about topics, when I was thinking about podcast episodes, I was thinking about what were some of the things that really helped my mental health in the earlier days of going to therapy, working on myself, improving my mental health. I've come a long ways, a super long ways in my life. And this topic is filed under stuff that was really helpful to me early on in my mental health journey. Stuff that helped my mental health improve drastically and has made a huge difference over a long period of time. And this is one of them: learning to stop engaging in a whole bunch of, mental self-hatred. So, of course, as usual, that will include many shadow work journal prompts. We'll get there. First, I thought I would share maybe just some. So I tend to philosophize a lot. I really, really like to dig deep into things and really, really just get really super deep into things. Sometimes on Sundays, I go to a spirituality group. And as a side note, I did a whole episode on therapy and spirituality. And as another side note, I even attended a 2-hour continuing education that was spirituality and therapy. And I was glad that they did that topic, but I'm just sitting here thinking, like, yeah, folks, don't tell your therapist that you're spiritual. They'll probably try to diagnose you with spiritual psychosis. If you're new here, I'm really down on therapists. I'm really down on therapy world. I'm really, really, really disappointed in where therapy has taken us. I feel like if you've gone to therapy in the last 10 years, you've probably gotten some really horrid advice, some really wrong insights, or maybe not any help at all. So bear with me. I talk bad about therapists. I think most of them are terrible. And it's simply my goal here to give you something that's actually useful and actually helpful and actually how to execute it. Anyways, I digress. Tangent. I do that all the time. Okay. So I'm talking to spiritual people this morning, just their friends. It's a friend group. It's a social group that I go to. And we were talking about AI, and it's usually a topic that I end up talking with a lot of people about when it comes to social situations. It's a very, very, I don't know. AI to me is extremely fascinating, extremely compelling. It's highly controversial. And I'm a therapist. I'm not necessarily here to talk about AI, but on a personal level, I just find it fascinating. I use it a lot. I don't think we should be using it to tell us how to think. I think it needs to be used as a tool. But the topic came up that we are decreasing in things that are authentic. There's a lack of authenticity. And I was talking to one of my friends, and we were talking about how human authenticity is going to become extremely valuable. Like everything creative is being replaced by AI, right? Art and music and writing and all of that is being replaced by AI, and real authentic human made stuff is almost like becoming more and more of a rare commodity. And I also believe that just authentic human connection and authentic human interaction is becoming extremely rare as well. And for a lot of people, I think that real authentic, like human interaction, real authentic connection with people, it's going to be worth it's just going to be worth a lot to people in the years to come. I think it's so important that if you're a conscious human being, we need to stop hiding behind screens. We need to stop hiding behind keyboards. We need to show up authentically, socially. I think people are starving for that right now. I think it's probably only going to get worse. I've noticed too with people, like, they're becoming more and more afraid to express themselves honestly and authentically. Like, people will use AI to they'll run the email that they wrote or the text that they wrote through AI because they want to make sure that it's clean and sanitized and suitable for human interaction. And I realize that in some cases that is helpful, but if you're doing that every single time so that you're pleasing people, I think that's a huge mistake. I think humans are starving for authenticity, and I think they're going to continue to starve for authenticity. We can't be afraid to express ourselves authentically. I think that is a huge, huge, huge mistake if we're just moving away from being able to express ourselves in authentic ways. And as time marches on, being truly authentic is becoming more and more of a challenge for people. It's getting scarier and scarier for people. Yeah, so there's definitely a huge dark side to a lot of this stuff, but just something that was on my mind today that I thought was an interesting discussion and something to think about. I really believe that in the future, real human authenticity is going to be extremely, extremely valuable. Okay, let's see if we can pull apart this topic about hating yourself. Okay. If you're new here, there's one question that I'm constantly raising about the human experience, and it's this question: why in the hell do our minds turn on us? I ask this question all the time. It's very bizarre to me. I cannot figure it. Why our own minds turn against us. It's weird. It's strange. It freaks me out. There are so many ways that our minds turn against us, like being too self-critical, overly self-critical, perfectionism. There's so many ways that our minds turn against us. So file this under not only things that will help your mental health in the long run, but just strange ways that your mind will turn against you. And I'm probably going to repeat a lot of things that I say all the time. They need to be repeated. They need to be repeated over and over and again, like a broken record. So here it comes. Along with all of that, you don't believe everything you think. Okay. I wish I could sit here and tell you that you can trust every thought and emotion that floats through your brain. You cannot. Your mind plays dirty tricks on you. It lies to you all the time. Did a whole episode on that as well. Go check it out. But for some reason, our minds, it just turns on us, including just intense self-hatred. So again, this is something that I experienced when I was young. I went through intense self-hatred to the point that it was very destructive for me. It was very self-destructive. I was way too hard on myself. I didn't know. So at the time, I didn't know any different. I wish someone at age, I don't know, 13, 14 probably, sat me down and was like, okay, here's what you need to know, bud. So that's sort of what this topic is about. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was young, and really never did. No one ever taught me this about mental health. You don't have to participate. You don't have to engage in hating yourself. You have a choice in the matter. That's what I wish someone had told me. But here's what I've noticed. Around the age of 10, right? Because your brain isn't fully developed till your mid-late 20s, and different parts of your brain turns on slowly, one at a time. Around the age of 10 is when your ego officially shows up. It's like there's a voice in there. There's this monologue. It happens really gradually and slowly and quietly. You don't even notice. At that age, you're not even necessarily intelligent enough to notice. But around the age of 10 is when your ego starts showing up and you start having different types of thoughts, darker thoughts. That's when self-criticism usually starts to show up in certain degrees. When you're 7 years old and the kids at school are like, "You're stupid," you're just like, "Oh, okay." But, once you're past the age of 10-ish, what I've noticed, about age 10, the kids at school go, "You're stupid." And then you're like, holy shit, I might be stupid. And there's this fallacy. I can never remember the name of it. I should write it down. I could look it up real quick, but it's basically that if you hear something repeatedly, your brain is going to assume that it's true. So let's say that you hear something from your parents all the time. If you have verbally abusive parents, if the parents are always telling you that you're stupid or that you're useless or what have you, right, then your brain is going to assume that is true. But we are bombarded at very early ages with a lot of negativity, folks. It's ugly out there. It was ugly when I was a kid. It's way worse now. We give kids access to the internet and smartphones. We should not be, but here we are. We're doing it anyways. It's just the world we live in, where you're like, hey, this thing, horrible for your kids. Don't do it. And people go, meh, and they do it anyways, right? It's like Roblox, right? Stuffed to the rafters with child predators, one of the top 3 places on the internet where children should not be because of online predators, but parents just like, oh, it's fine. And they oh, here you go. And they let their kids play Roblox endlessly. I even saw a video yesterday where they're talking about how Pop-Tarts are mostly made out of petroleum. It's not even food. There's 2% of actual food in a Pop-Tart. And people still be like, oh, it tastes good to me. It's like, oh man, you can just tell people right to their face, that thing is terrible for you. And they go, oh, I like it. That's your prerogative, I guess. Don't be surprised when your health breaks down. Don't be surprised when you have health issues. But anyway, so here we are, right? We're growing up and we start developing what I would call self-abusive thoughts. because that's really what it is. Maybe you have parents that are really negative towards you, maybe school bullies, maybe teachers, maybe just society in general. And then your inner dialogue, it doesn't take very long before it seems like your inner dialogue just starts adopting all the negativity that it hears on a constant basis, and it feeds it to yourself. I mean, I know that by the time I was 15 or 16-ish years old, my head was full of what I would define now as self-abusive thoughts, intensely self-abusive thoughts. But again, at the time, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even question it. I didn't even question, like, is it normal to have such negative thoughts toward myself? I didn't even question it. Like, I really do. I wish we would sit down with kids and be like, what are your thoughts like, huh? Tell me. I mean, do you have thoughts that tell you that you're horrible? And I actually do. I ask these questions to kids, and they're like, and usually they're like, no. And I'm like, you sure? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. They do. So, like, it didn't even occur to them to pay attention long enough. It didn't occur to me when I was 15, 16 years old to pay close enough attention to my thoughts and label them as good, bad, negative, helpful, unhelpful, effective, ineffective, or otherwise, right? Because identifying abusive, negative, intrusive thoughts as such is the first step in our process of fixing this problem, or one of them anyways. That's one of the first steps. But kind of going back to parenting, parents have a huge impact on this as well. If you have a parent, for example, who, like, this is the thing that I see parents do all the fucking time, and it drives me up the wall. Again, I work with teenagers, and I constantly just see parents who are just hypercritical all of the time. Kid comes home with a B plus, and the parents go, "Why isn't it an A?" Right? Kid comes home with a 90% on their math test, and they go, "Why wasn't it 100?" The parents are always focusing on the lack rather than the surplus. And then they bring them to me, and I notice that they're really critical, and I go, "Why do you do that? What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of being really, really super hypercritical of them?" And they go, "Oh, it helps them be better." And I'm like, "Well, then why isn't it working?" And the parents look at me and they go, "I never really thought about it." And I'm like, "It's not working." That's right. That's the ticket here. It doesn't work. Okay. So we tend to pick up where our parents left off if they were hypercritical. Like if your parents were verbally abusive, or if they're hypercritical, if nothing was ever good enough for them, your mind, your thoughts, because they heard it all the time, are just going to pick up where your parents left off. And again, because it's the only voice in your head and it's the only thoughts that you have about yourself, it can seem perfectly normal. It's my hope maybe to help at least a couple people out there understand it's not healthy, it's not normal. The other thing that I want people to know, you have a choice in the matter. You don't have to do that. It's optional. You don't have to participate in verbal and just mentally abusing yourself. So honestly, when I was young, that was probably one of my first major personal breakthroughs. I still remember where I was. I still remember my journal. I had a journal. Journaling, if you're new to my content, you know that I think journaling is very important in writing. I've been journaling for decades. I always keep a journal. I mean, I don't write every day, not even close, but anytime I need a journal, it is close by. In fact, I can see it right now. It's almost within my reach. Anyways, I still remember where I was when I realized there's this mean voice in my head. It's not me. It's a different voice. This is the realization that I had because I'd been going to therapy. Therapists won't teach you this anymore, by the way. All they do anymore is ask you, sorry, I have to get my jabs in with therapists. I can't fucking help myself anymore. These motherfuckers, they are so useless now. It drives me nuts. Sorry, I digress. Sorry, back on topic. I still remember where I was. I'm journaling. I'm realizing there's this mean little voice in my head. And I don't have to engage with it. I don't have to battle with it. I don't have to struggle with it. I don't have to participate in this. I had that moment. And again, I remember exactly where I was when I realized I could just walk away from this internal battle, this internal war that I was having with myself, or what seemed like myself, or some mean thing in my head. I had been having a constant battle with it, and to the point of mental illness. That's the truth. It made me severely mentally ill and hated myself. And I realized, I was like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. And I remember like this feeling of immense relief, emotional relief flooded my body, and this sense of like emotionally I had like set down a backpack full of bricks. I had this moment where I'd never felt so good emotionally. Like I still remember feeling that good. That was one of the first early moments for me of hope, that my mental health could improve, that it could be better, that I didn't have to live the rest of my life just with this mind that seemed to want to fucking torture me. So if that sounds nice, I'm going to give you the steps. Okay, I'm going to tell you how I did it. I'm going to tell you it worked for me. It continues to work for me. My mean little voice is pretty much gone for the most part. That's not to say that I don't necessarily have negative thoughts. Sometimes, like today, I was having some negative thoughts about another person and I felt like crap and I didn't want to. Guys, it's a work in progress. It always is. I'm doing my best. It's tough out there. It's tough out there, but I'm always determined to do better every day. I had that moment where I like mentally apologized to that person. I was like, I'm judging you and I'm sorry that I'm judging you, mostly because it hurts me. Judging you hurts me. I still think you're kind of a bitch, but I'm sorry for judging you. And I needed that. I needed to take ownership of your life. Um, I would love to do an entire episode of taking ownership of your life. I promise you, nobody would listen to it. It's a boring topic that nobody's interested in. Even though, like, people will see that title and keep, well, I'm going to find something more interesting. That is probably the most important topic when it comes to your mental health, is total ownership of your life. Like, that will unlock the key. That is the master key to everything in your life. I could sit here and like emphasize, like, folks, you don't understand how important it is to take total ownership of your life, take full responsibility and accountability in your life. That's how you take ownership. It will change your life, and nobody would listen to it. They'd be bored. They wouldn't even start the episode, actually, because it's just not a compelling. It's just not a compelling topic, even though it should be. Okay, so let me give you the steps on how to fix this, and then I'll give you some shadow work journal prompts, and I'm going to get the fuck out of here because I got other shit to do. I have big goals this year, and I'm making good progress on them, and I need to meditate tonight, just clear my mind, and I'm trying to finish my book. I'm trying to write a book. I'm trying to write multiple books, but let's get to it. Okay, step 1. Recognize your self-hatred thoughts. Recognize the negative thinking. Okay, observe your thoughts. Okay, you can take the stance of the observer in your life. You can observe your thoughts like a spectator, like you're watching a movie. Step 1 is to take a step back and observe your negative thinking. Okay, put your your mental eyes on it. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to do anything with it. Just notice that it's there. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is realize that you don't have to participate in that type of thinking. You can put your mind on something totally different. And then do that repeatedly, okay? But you have to recognize the specific thoughts. It could be, nobody likes me, I'm weird, I hate myself, I'm worthless, I'm useless, I fail at everything. It will really help, and this will be one of your shadow work journal prompts today, to write down the specific negative thinking that you experience. Really, step 3 is just practicing that technique over and over and over and over again. I recognize, like, this is just what you do. Honestly, it's simple. It's not complicated, though it's difficult. It requires work, okay? Recognize the negative thought. Recognize the negative thinking. Get really specific about it. Get good at recognizing when it's actually happening. And stop participating in, step 2 is stop participating in that line of thinking. You might have this little voice in your head that says, that's That's too simple. That won't work. That's probably that little negative voice in your head. Just try it. Go and try it. Don't judge it. Try it. Okay? Before you judge it, before you do anything, just try it. Just like I'm giving you a technique. Try the technique. Practice it for a few days. See what happens. Notice what happens. And better yet, of course, spend a few minutes doing some journaling about it. Honestly, I know that will. I'm going to actually, there's one more thing in my notes that I missed. Let's back up a little bit. One of the things that is going to always exacerbate your mental health, your mental illness, is isolation. We are a very, very isolated culture now. Honestly, sometimes I feel like it's by design. I feel like there is evil in this world that is pushing everything. It's just trying to harm us and separate us. I don't want to necessarily get into that. What I do know is that our standard lifestyles are killing us badly. You got to do something different. Okay, avoid isolation. I would across the board. That's one of my number one mental health tips for whatever you're dealing with is to avoid isolation. Okay, so that is essentially everything that we got. The bottom line here is you can make choices about the types of thoughts that you entertain, that you engage in, that you participate in, and you need to. Okay, our society, our culture does not explore different types of thinking anymore. I personally believe that we are living in the current, the newest version of the intellectual dark ages. There are so many different ways to think. There are so many different types of thinking, and people they just follow their emotions now. They don't do any of it anymore. So learn to think differently. Learn to do different things with your mind and practice those things, and then it will improve. Okay, let's get into our shadow work journal prompts. If you're new here, at the end of each episode, I like to do shadow work journal prompts. Shadow work, if you don't know, is based on the work of the late and great Carl Jung, one of the OGs of modern psychology, who believed that shadow work was a way to get to the heart of the issues, rewire our brains, break patterns, all kinds of things. I find shadow work to be extremely valuable. I do it myself. It's very helpful. Here's a brief legal disclaimer as well. I'm a therapist. I'm not your therapist. My shadow work journal prompts are not for wimps. They can cause some emotional distress. If you're not experiencing emotional distress, some emotional discomfort at least when it comes to therapy, you're doing it wrong. If your therapist does not create some degree of emotional discomfort, your therapist sucks. You should probably fire them. It's only 3 tonight, folks. Only 3 times I've thrown shade at therapists. Did I use that term correctly? Is that what the kids are still saying? But if you find these journal prompts to be difficult or heavy, feel free to work with your own crappy therapist. That's 4 on them. Okay, here we go. You ready? We're gonna get straight to the heart of it here, guys. Okay, you ready? Okay, number 1. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. You get a journal, get a shadow work, get a journal just for your shadow work. It's gonna help you a ton. That's how you're gonna get the most out of it. Okay, number 1. Are my thoughts self-abusive? Part B to that question. Do I mentally abuse myself? Part 3 to that question. Do I allow self-abusive thoughts to live in my head? If yes, and I'm betting yes, that's why you're listening to this. If yes, okay, this is question number 2. If yes, how does it impact my day-to-day life, including health and wellness, mental health and wellness, friendships, relationships, job, work, financial decisions, all of the above? How does your self-abusive thoughts impact the various areas of your life? The more detail you can get on that one, the better you're going to do, the more insights you're going to get, the more likely you are to change, because that one can really help change your perspective. Number 3, where did these self-abusive thoughts originate? Okay, part 2 to that question would be, who taught me how to hate myself? Where did that come from? Frankly, for me, This is the truth. I'm just being honest. Religion had a big role in that one for me. The major role in that one for me. I live in Utah, so most people know which major religion is based in Utah, so you can put two and two together. That religion absolutely taught me to hate myself, hands down. Number four, write down some of the specific abusive thoughts. What are the ones that pop up the most? Which are the ones that repeat the most? Get specific, get detailed, write them down. It's going to hurt. I promise you it'll help. Number five, why do you participate in self-abuse? Okay, this is a journal prompt. Write down, why do I participate in it? And any answer is acceptable. This is a non-judgment question, so I apologize if it came across as a little judgmental. It's not intended to be. I just want you to think about it. I just want you to just really dig in there and think about it and get really honest with yourself about it. Spoiler alert, too, on that question. Most people will say, I don't know. I didn't realize I had the choice, right? That's the realization I'm trying to help you get to. You do have a choice. And I want you to make a different one. Okay, so there you have it. There are your journal prompts. Okay, and with that, I'm going to leave you with one rule. I do this a lot with my clients. It's honestly, I love it. I love doing it too because it's a very positive thing for them because my clients are always right. Therapy clients are always being self-deprecating, right? They're always putting themselves down and they're going to say, I know this sounds stupid and I know I'm dumb for thinking this or feeling this and I'm always like I've done this with clients where I look at them and I say, "Hey, new rule, you may not disrespect yourself when you're here with me. If you disrespect yourself when you are out on your own, that's your prerogative. I can't stop you. But you're here for 1 hour a week, and during that hour, you may not disrespect yourself. Okay, new rule, and that's a positive thing for people. Like for this 1 hour a week, you may not disrespect yourself, and obviously, I want them to adopt that rule in general. So I'm going to encourage you before I end this episode to make a rule for yourself. Okay, and the rule is this: I am not allowed to disrespect me any longer. Okay, time to wrap this up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thanks for putting up with my bullshit, my randomness, I know I'm a little all over the place. I make no apologies. There is a method to my madness. Don't forget to follow. Again, I appreciate you being here. Stay the course. Don't give up on yourself. And remember, you must do hard things.